precautionary measures the local airport is taking in the midst of the coronavirus outbreak. I'm Gabby Crevitt, and I'll have the details coming up.
And residents of Belgrade, yay, could be getting some relief from the trains that regularly block Jackrabbit Lane. Coming up, details and a plan for big changes to the intersection at Main Street. I will be hanging on every word of that story.
I was stuck behind,
personally involved.
A personal story. My son, I have a 5-year-old son. We had to get to where we needed to go in Belgrade. Got stuck behind that. He had to go to the bathroom in the worst way.
Oh no!
You watch the train go by.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
Well, been there many, many times.
I'm sure you have.
Early in the morning, all by myself, watching the trains go by. So we'll get to that story in a moment. Meantime, we have weather to talk about.
We do. A little light snow in parts of the area, enough that we're seeing some snow and ice on a few of the area roadways. Snow and ice on Bozeman Pass, especially on the Bozeman side, hearing of some black ice. That's the reports we're getting from viewers. Scattered snow and ice on Homestake Pass and active snow. It is a slow go, the reports that we're getting here down the Gallatin Canyon for the early morning. Crews are out working, but still it's going to be slow. We don't see a lot of low-level reflection here, meaning radar returns, but there is just a touch of light snow, more of a nuisance than anything, but still some ice out there. Temperatures reflecting that into the 20s for the early morning. The potential for snow really held into the morning hours. The afternoon, we expect more sunshine, and the evening clearing out. It's going to be a crisp evening tonight. Pretty crisp during the day as well, with daytime highs hovering around the 30-degree mark. We'll take another look at your road report and much more coming up in just a few minutes.
Yeah, that situation with the radar, that makes it so much better to have somebody on the ground in southwest Montana to be able to tell us what's happening.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for being here.
No problem.
6:31. We mentioned this earlier. The first line of defense against the coronavirus is our nation's airports, especially the gateway airports that receive flights from China. TN's Gabby Crevitt talked with the staff at Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport about any precautions they may or may not be taking.
I spoke with the airport director about how the Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport is responding to the coronavirus outbreak, and he said not much has changed in day-to-day operations. He said most of the focus and the screening happens only in ports of entry. It's business as usual at the Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport.
At this point, we have not seen anything that is expected to change, but it's a fluid thing right now.
In a press release Monday, the Gallatin City County Health Department reported an individual with a travel history from mainland China is being evaluated at the Bozeman Health Deaconess Hospital for an illness. In terms of air travel, Airport Director Brian Sprenger says all efforts made by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention to monitor the spread of coronavirus are done at the main ports of entry.
There's not a lot of things that we can do within the airport at this point. Really, once somebody enters the United States, they have free access. That's one of the great things about our country.
We spoke with Dr. Mark Winton, infectious disease specialist at Bozeman Health Deaconess Hospital, for his take on the issue.
We do have a lot of travelers who come in from all over the world, and there's always that potential that we're going to see one of these novel coronaviruses show up. But it is flu and virus season, so we're seeing all kinds of viruses.
Until further notice from the CDC, protocol at the Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport remains the same.
If the CDC contacted us, we would coordinate directly with them.
And as for the doctors, as a medical professional, are you concerned about the coronavirus right now coming into this area?
Not any more than any other viruses or other diseases that we have going on at the moment.
As for the individual who is being monitored for the coronavirus at the Bozeman Health Deaconess Hospital, we have yet to receive an update from the health department, but the health officer says we may receive some new information as early as tomorrow. Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
And of course, we'll continue to update that story. Meantime, coronavirus has now an official name according to health officials. We'll have that for you coming up in just a minute. Shifting gears now, a significant announcement will be made this week in Butte in connection with the progress of the Superfund cleanup and Silver Bow Creek. Officials with the Environmental Protection Agency were not specific about the announcement, but it could be the long-awaited consent decree, which outlines the plans for the cleanup of a century's worth of mining contamination along Butte's Superfund site. It's expected to be released to the public soon. That announcement will be made at the Finland Hotel, 11 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. And of course, we'll be covering that and have more for you online and on air. Meantime, 4 days after the 3 men broke out of the Hardin jail, Bighorn County Sheriff's Office giving details of their frightening escape. Sheriff says that just after 10 o'clock Friday, inmates lured a Bighorn County detention officer into one of the larger cell blocks by convincing him someone was sick. Inmates then grabbed the officer, pulled him inside, where he was assaulted and bound. Authorities say then the inmates took jail key from that officer, made their way to the Bighorn County dispatch area, where they assaulted a dispatcher, handcuffed her. She was then thrown to the floor, and the inmates made their way out of the building through a garage door. Now, one of the escapees, 34-year-old Caplet, made his initial appearance yesterday in Billings. He appeared by video from the Yellowstone County Jail. Car he was driving was stopped by Billings police after he tried to flee from officers. About 10 o'clock Monday night, Billings police, U.S. Marshals first tracked down another escapee, Anthony James Castro. After a short foot chase, he was also taken into custody. We talked about this a moment ago. Big changes could be on the way at a busy intersection in Belgrade. Montana Department of Transportation just released plans for a possible underpass at Jackrabbit Lane and Main Street. MTN's Annie Johnson talked with some Belgrade residents to see what they think about the idea.
Cars and trains share the intersection at Jackrabbit and Main Street. It's a crossway where a lot of traffic goes through.
I don't know who decides when the trains go through, but sometimes they'll run 2 or 3 and I'll see lights backed up all the way to where I live back there.
John Duckles says he would rather walk than drive near the intersection because it gets so busy.
Especially around rush hour time, it gets backed up all the way to the next stoplight.
I have been standing at this intersection for the last 10 to 20 minutes, and I have noticed a constant flow of traffic, and officials are telling us that is the reason why they want to build an underpass in this intersection to ease some of that congestion. MDT's proposal would require them digging a big hole under where the current railroad tracks are and constructing a new roadway so cars can pass without having to stop for passing trains.
I travel it more than once, twice, 3 times a day. I think it'd be great, especially when I come through there so often every day. It would really be nice.
But it could be years until construction starts to happen, and that's if it gets the necessary approval.
The earliest potential you could see construction beginning would be 7 years.
And when it comes to how they would pay for the $25 to $27 million project, Fogarty says all options are on the table.
So we'll be identifying any means possible, whether that be safety funding or congestion mitigation funding.
The next step in this proposal would be to conduct a safety or risk assessment to survey the area and gain a more in-depth look at the plan. Reporting in Belgrade, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
Now, MDT says the potential underpass would be similar to the neighboring underpass at the Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport, which is just a little bit east of that intersection. We talked about this earlier as well. Later this month, hundreds of residents in Butte-Silver Bow County will be called to participate in a survey on health care. Butte Health Department, St. James Healthcare have to conduct this survey every 3 years to find out from residents what health concerns they believe are important for the agencies to address. Now, in the past, substance abuse and mental health have been some of the biggest issues. Officials will use this information to better address the problems this year.
We're nothing as a health department or a hospital without data. And so having good new data to react to helps us to improve health in Butte.
By the way, that data will be gathered by a telephone survey, and it will begin on February 24th. Now, as the race for Montana governor heats up, Republican candidate Tim Fox rolling out his policy for one of the state's largest economic drivers, agriculture. MTN's Mitch Laggy sat down with Fox and his running mate to hear more.
Current Montana Attorney General Tim Fox and his running mate, former Montana legislator John Knoke, have their eyes set on the governor's office. At a campaign event in Billings Tuesday, Fox announced Part 1 of 14 in his Montana United Strategy Plan for the future of the state. It was built with the input of 500 Montanans. The plan deals with topics like healthcare, senior citizens, and education. Part 1 deals with agriculture.
We announced our agricultural strategy because agriculture is the #1 industry in our economy here in this state and has been for some time.
This isn't a Tim Fox strategy or John Knoke strategy. This is a strategy from leaders within the community and people doing the work.
Fox's ag strategy deals with 20 talking points, among them protecting water rights, advocating for international trade, and property tax relief for farmers and ranchers. To move towards those goals, Fox said his unifying leadership would set the tone in the state legislature.
First and foremost, the people in the State House have to be advocates for what makes Montana great, and they have to be unifiers. Polarizing leaders are not effective in bringing people together to find the way forward.
Fox is facing off against Congressman Greg Gianforte and State Senator Al Olszewski. Knoche says Montana Republicans need to get behind somebody that will win in November.
And Tim's that guy. Last time he was on the ballot in 2016, he got more votes than any Republican in the history of Montana. Right? He won 54 or 56 counties. He won 53,000 more votes than Donald Trump in Trump country. And he got 96,000 more votes than Congressman Greg Gianforte when Congressman Greg Gianforte was running for governor.
Only time will tell if that many Montanans want Fox in the governor's office. In Billings, Mitch Schlage, MTN News.
Now, Mitch tells us to view Fox's full agricultural strategy, you simply need to go over and check out our website. We're going to take a quick break here on Montana This Morning. When we come back, fire filling the skies over parts of Louisiana. Look at that video. We'll have the latest in our world headlines. We also have a look ahead at what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you ahead on CBS This Morning. We're in Manchester, New Hampshire, where Bernie Sanders edged out Pete Buttigieg in the state's primary. We'll break down the winners and the losers for the race for the Democratic presidential nomination. Plus, only on CBS This Morning, we're taking you inside an innovative treatment program helping special operations troops heal from the unseen wounds of war. And as part of our Trailblazers series, 2 pioneering lawyers speak out to us about their work fighting landmark civil rights cases over the span of decades. We'll see you 7 o'clock on the dot.